Oof, Diogenes here once again. Listen all the way through, as this is an integral part of what this channel is all about and what forged me as a philosopher and a man. When light learns to shine through the void, the philosophy of the phoenix. You spend enough years walking this earth, and the world tries to convince you that kindness is weakness, that calm is cowardice, that empathy is naivety. But I've seen the opposite. I've watched the loudest men crumble under the quiet weight of truth. And I've watched the gentlest souls stand taller than armies, not because they fought harder, but because they never stopped feeling. There was a time when I thought I was too soft for this world, too kind, too forgiving, too emotional. But steel does not shine without heat, and light doesn't learn its worth until it's tested by the void. That is the heart of what I call the soft shield. Strength without violence, power without domination, love without condition. It's a form of masculinity the world forgot existed. The making of the soft shield. For most of my adult life, I was what some would call the oak. I was the son who stayed, the caretaker, the homemaker, the one who honored a promise made to my father on his deathbed in 2005. My father was my hero, the man who taught me the honor was measured not by conquest, but by care. As he faded, he only asked one thing of me: look after my mother. Take care of my sister. Lori will need your help. I promised him I would. And for 20 years, I have. Put aside my own ambitions, the career, the wealth, the titles, and I chose a simple life built on service. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, but it's honest. And it's what kept me human in a world obsessed with power. Society didn't understand. They cast me out of their mold of what a man should be. But I learned that real strength doesn't shout. It endures. It heals. It stands when everyone else has fallen. That was my initiation into the philosophy I now live by. The philosophy of the soft shield. The Father, the Son, and the Ironman. I learned much of what I believe about love and sacrifice, not from books, but from a man named Dave, my friend, and the father of my late nephew, Nevin. Dave worked in a high-level IT security, the kind of job could have made him a millionaire. At one point, executives offered him a salary 3 times what he was making. But he turned it down. Why? Because it would have meant leaving his son behind. Instead, he flew home every weekend, sometimes just for 2 days, while managing global networks for Hyundai and Honda. He could have chosen simplicity, wealth, comfort, but he chose presence. He chose love. That's the kind of man he was, the stoic coder, writing firewalls for corporations while building a bridge of loyalty to his son. But as the years went on, that bridge began to crack. Nevin struggled, not just with life's pressures, but with the invisible chains of bipolar disorder, anxiety, and addiction. And as the strain grew, Dave turned to the bottle. Both men, father and son, were fighting battles they couldn't see, and both were losing ground. The summer and the sun. The first time I realized how deep Nevin's struggles went was at 4 in the morning in a hospital room, a month before his high school graduation, his first overdose. That moment burned itself into my memory. The sterile lights, the cold machines, the sound of shallow breathing, and quiet desperation. When he woke, we made a pact, a simple, sacred oath. We called ourselves Team Phoenix. I was wisdom, and he was youth. I was the mentor, the Ironman philosopher. He was the firebird trying to rise from his ashes. Together we ran, biked, and swam through a summer of transformation. By the fall, his friends barely recognized him. He was alive again, focused, determined. For a moment, I thought we'd beaten the darkness. But winter came, and with it, the slide. You can't outrun bipolar disorder with willpower alone. You can't lift someone out of an abyss they cannot see. No matter how hard I tried, no matter how bright I burned, the shadows swallowed him again. And when he died, a part of me died too. Nearly 8 years passed before I could swim again. Because every time I touched the water, I felt the weight of failure. Not in logic, but in heart. The eternal ache of if only I could have done more. The funeral and the forgiveness. At Nevin's funeral, I looked Dave in the eyes. Broken, hollow, drowning in guilt. And I said to him, "Please forgive yourself. You were a good father. Grieve, but don't abuse yourself." He scoffed at me and turned away, but I saw it. The weight in his posture, self-blame eating him alive. When the pastor said I had been like a father to Nevin, I saw it knife through him. Not because he hated me, but because it confirmed the fear every grieving parent feels, that somehow they failed. But they didn't. Love doesn't fail. It just hurts. The long winter of the soul. After Nevin's death, life didn't stop testing me. It unraveled completely. I lost my business. My wife left me for another man. My sister, also bipolar, also broken after losing her son, died 3 years later. And through it all, I couldn't fall apart. I had to be the oak again, the one holding the line for everyone else. I became my mother's entire world as she aged into winter, all while quietly bleeding beneath the bark. It wasn't until I met my Filipino wife that the tears finally came out of me. For the first time in decades, I felt safe enough to drop the armor. And when I did, all the grief I'd buried for Nevin, my sister, my father, it poured out of me like floodwater breaking a dam. That was the moment I began to heal. The ethos of the phoenix. The phoenix is not just a myth, it's a mirror. It's what happens when a soul survives fire and chooses to rise again. Not hardened, but illuminated. That's what Ironman Cebu means to me. It's not just a race, it's the living symbol of everything I survived. Every mile I run is for the ones who couldn't. Every stroke in the ocean is for the 8 years I could not swim. Every breath is for Nevin, the life and talent he did not get to live. I'm racing to prove that even after the worst fires, there's still life left in the ashes. The soft shield defined. What is the soft shield? It's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's what happens when you've been broken 100 times and still choose compassion. It's the strength to stand in the storm without becoming it. Softness is what kept me human when others turned to stone. Softness made the strangers around me feel safe in a room full of wolves. Softness is the strength that doesn't announce itself. It simply is. The world says men should dominate, suppress, and control. But I've lived enough to know true masculinity isn't about domination. It's about dedication. It's not about control. It's about consistency. The soft shield is what I call healthy masculinity. It's being both the protector and the empath, the rock and the river, the man who can fight if he must, but chooses to heal instead. That's the masculinity I teach through my work as Diogenes of America, the mad dog phoenix philosopher, because sometimes you have to bark at a world gone mad just to remind it what sanity looks like. The 3 pillars: oath, empathy, and light. There are 3 oaths that shape me. The deathbed oath to my father, to care for my mother and sister. The silent oath to Nevin, to carry on his spirit through motion and endurance. And the living oath to myself, to become shamelessly, audaciously, authentically me. Those vows are the backbone of the soft shield. They've kept me unbroken. Because the truth is, I never survived in spite of my empathy. I survived because of it. Empathy to me is light. It bends without breaking. It illuminates without blinding. And it teaches that even the void, the great darkness we all face, can be answered with light. The Mad Dog Phoenix Philosopher's Manifesto. I've been judged my entire life, mocked for being different, bullied for being emotional, dismissed for being kind. But through it all, I kept choosing light, because that's the only choice that ever truly matters. So I built my channel, my writing, my speeches, not to perform, not to go viral, but to build a tribe of thinkers, of lamp bearers, and souls unafraid of feeling. I don't want followers, I want seekers. People willing to stare at the absurdity and still find beauty there. People willing to question everything, even themselves. That's what Diogenes did, and that's what I do now. carrying my torch or my cell phone through the digital streets of Athens, searching for honest humans. The podium for Nevin. And that brings us here to Cebu, to the Ironman 70.3, to the podium for Nevin. That podium isn't a symbol of athletic triumph. It's the culmination of decades of endurance, emotional, spiritual, and physical. It's the end of an era of service and the beginning of freedom. It's my way of saying to my father, I kept my promise. To my mother, you are not alone. To Nevin, your flame still burns. And to the world, this is what light looks like after fire. Every step of that race is for those who think they're too broken to rise. Every heartbeat is for those who love someone they could not save. Every breath is a reminder that we are more than our suffering. We are what survives it. Answering the void. So yes, they call me the Mad Dog Phoenix philosopher, and I wear it proudly. Because I've walked through hell, and I didn't lose my humanity. Because I've seen what the void can do, and I've learned how to answer it. When the world demands that I harden, I stay soft. When it demands silence, I speak truth. When it demands armor, I bring light. The soft shield isn't a philosophy built in comfort. It's forged in grief, tempered in loss, and polished by endurance. It's not about being untouched by fire. It's about becoming light because of it. So when I cross the finish line in Cebu, it won't be for glory. It'll be for every life I carried in my heart, for every promise I kept, for every person who thought they couldn't make it through the dark. Because even the void can't swallow a light that refuses to die. And I am that light, the soft shield, the phoenix, Diogenes of America, walking through the absurdity with my torch held high, still searching for honest men and for the humanity that never gave up. The closing. The torch is lit. Will you carry one too? But here's the thing. I'm not special. I'm just a man who refused to let tragedy turn him into stone. A son who kept a promise. An uncle who tried. A survivor who learned that softness is the ultimate rebellion in a world addicted to hardness. If I can rise from the ashes, so can you. If I can carry 20 years of grief and still find light, so can you. If I can stand in the absurdity with my torch held high, so can you. And that's why I'm here. This channel, this digital lantern, walk through the chaos, is my way of searching for honest humans. Not perfect ones, not invulnerable ones, honest ones. People willing to question everything, including themselves. People who know that real strength doesn't shout, it endures. People who understand that the opposite of toxic masculinity isn't weakness, it's wholeness. People like you. So here's what comes next. I'm not just talking about the soft shield, I'm living it. In the coming months, you'll watch me train and see my journey as I try to go for a podium at Ironman 70.3. You'll see the philosophy meet pavement, ocean, and willpower. Every mile will be for Nevin. Every stroke for the 8 years that I could not swim. Every breath for everyone who thinks they're too broken to rise. This isn't just my race, it's our race. Because when I cross that finish line, it won't be for glory. It'll be the proof, living, breathing proof that even the void cannot swallow a light that refuses to die. And I need you with me, not as followers, as seekers, as fellow lamp bearers in the darkness, as people brave enough to walk through the absurdity and still believe that meaning exists, that kindness matters, that softness is strength. So if this resonates, if you've ever felt too sensitive for this world, too empathetic for the algorithm, too human for the hardness, then subscribe. Hit that bell. Share this with someone who needs to hear they're not alone. And tell me your story, because I promise I read every single one. This is the beginning of something bigger than me, a movement of honest humans who refuse to play the game, who reject the false binary of dominate or disappear, who choose the third way, the ancient way, the way of the warrior philosopher, who knows that the strongest shield was always made of light. The torch is lit. Will you carry one too? I am Diogenes of America, the soft shield, the mad dog phoenix philosopher, and I'm searching for honest humans in an age of performance. Let's walk through the absurdity together. Torches high, hearts soft, minds sharp. Welcome to the tribe of lamp bearers. See you in Cebu, and see you in every video until then. Stay soft, stay strong, and never let the void convince you that your light doesn't matter. It does, and you do. Woof. Diogenes out. If you made it this far, thank you, and God bless.